The Departed is a 2006 American crime thriller directed by Martin Scorsese. The movie is a remake of the 2002 Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs, featuring a screenplay that was written by William Monahan and boasting an incredible ensemble all-star cast including Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Walberg, Martin Sheen and Alec Baldwin. The plot revolves around the Massachusetts State Police's efforts to take down a powerful Irish-American mob boss named Frank Costello, played by Jack Nicholson. To infiltrate Costello's organization, the police assign undercover cop Billy Costigan, played by DiCaprio, to pose as a criminal and gain Costello's trust. Simultaneously, Costello has placed his own mole within the police force, Colin Sullivan, played by Damon, who rises quickly through the ranks. As the two moles become aware of each other's existence, tension escalates as both sides attempt to identify and eliminate the other. The film is filled with twists, turns, and moral ambiguity as characters grapple with their loyalties and identities. The Departed was a critical and commercial success, receiving widespread acclaim for its direction, performances, and screenplay. It won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for Martin Scorsese, marking his first and incredibly his only Oscar win in that category. The film's tense atmosphere, intricate plot, and memorable performances have cemented its status as one of the quintessential crime films of the 21st century. It's interesting that, in spite of the movie having a very complete feel, there has always been the floating idea of a sequel to The Departed. I mean, that sounds pretty difficult, as anyone who's seen the film will know. As, spoiler alert, practically everyone dies. The only major character who survives is Mark Walberg's Sergeant Dignam, who delivers the final blow of justice to Matt Damon's Colin Sullivan, Costello's rat in the police department. Some might feel the ending was too nice of a Hollywood bow, that it would have been better for the bad guy to win for a change. Others might like it that it wrapped up the story nicely, but either way, it was a definitive ending to the film's story. But even before the film was released, the studio wanted a sequel to be a possibility, and they requested to Martin Scorsese to have at least one of the two leads in the film, DiCaprio or Damon, alive by the end of the movie. Maybe this is why Scorsese's film had Wahlberg's character kill Damon's, one of the few major changes to the original film, in order to protect his movie from having sequels piggybacking off of it, each film with deprecating value. What they wanted was a franchise, the director said. It wasn't about a moral issue of a person living or dying. Scorsese revealed that before the film came out, one test screening of the movie went well with audiences, but the studio guys were not very happy. He said, and then the studio guys walked out and they were very sad, because they just didn't want that movie. They wanted the franchise, which means I can't work here anymore. I've always heard that Scorsese didn't have the best time making The Departed, but I could never really find out why. I chalked it up to maybe all the big Hollywood egos on set, but maybe it was actually more in line with this, he and the studio having very different visions for the film. Scorsese has never made a sequel to one of his films before, and keeping the two rats alive at the end of the film would have damaged the thematic weight of the movie's climax. Still though, that hasn't stopped Mark Walberg from wanting a Departed 2 to be made. He's the only character alive, and was nominated for an Oscar for the movie, and the film remains one of the highest grossing of Scorsese's career, so it's clearly something the actor wanted to capitalize on. But the pitch to the studio didn't work out. I went into a meeting with Bill Monahan at Warner Brothers to pitch the sequel to The Departed, Walberg said, and let's just say the pitch didn't go very well. But he's the kind of guy you just trust to go and write something. And so when we were working on the script for Cocaine Cowboys and American Desperado, I said, Bill, just go write. They like to have things well thought out and planned. It'd be a pretty good one. Sounds like Walberg feels the screenwriter is at fault for the failed pitch, and though we don't know exactly what the film would have been about, it would center on Wahlberg's character, and the actor wanted to keep the spirit alive of having A-list actors in the cast, teasing the idea of Brad Pitt and Robert De Niro being in the sequel. That makes sense. At one point, Pitt was scheduled to be in the first film as one of the leads, but that didn't end up happening, though his company produced the movie. De Niro was also offered a role in the film, but turned it down as he was busy directing The Good Shepherd. Screenwriter Monahan has also spoken about the sequel idea, saying, "My idea is to set the film before, during, and after the action of the first film, which I think would be extraordinary. Essentially, in the middle section of the thing I've intended, you'd see action that takes place during the original Departed but aren't on screen in the original Departed. There would be off-screen things that occur at that point in the story, but it would work seamlessly as a movie of its own." I mean, that sounds genuinely pretty cool, and though it wouldn't have Scorsese's masterful hand directing it, it does sound interesting. But let's not pretend that Monahan has come up with this brilliant idea from the back of his own head randomly, because the movie The Departed is based on, Infernal Affairs, has two sequels, one being a prequel and the other a sequel, which all work in union. And it does rub me the wrong way a bit how Monahan has said he didn't watch Infernal Affairs before he penned the script to The Departed, even though, coincidentally, the two share so many similarities and directly lifted scenes. And then all of a sudden, he got the grand idea of a prequel and sequel, in spite of this already existing for the original film. Give me a break, man. Damon has also spoken about how he wasn't the happiest guy around when filming The Departed, saying,
"Well, I was a little pissed about a couple of things, but look, it all worked out in the end. I think."
What are you pissed at? You don't know. Martin Scorsese movie.
Well, originally I was supposed to play another part. Originally I was supposed to get paid, and
I don't know what he means by that. Maybe the original role had a much higher salary, but he added,
originally I was supposed to be, in, and then even when we kind of agreed that I would play Dingham, and I saw the advantages of playing that part, and how I would approach the situation with everybody else playing opposite me. I had another movie after. So I just finished Four Brothers, and I was going into Invincible after. I was trying to grow my hair out, which is why I had that weird hair. Everybody's like, "What was that wig about?" I was like, "I was not a wig. I was just trying to grow my hair for the next film."
Right.
And then, but he had to deal, I completely understand where Marty's coming from. He had to deal with Jack, he had to deal with Matt and Leo and Alec and everything in the studio and everybody else who was in the cast. And then I was supposed to be in and out in 5 weeks.
Right.
And so I went off to go and shoot Invincible, got my hair extensions, came back, and then they were like, "Oh, you got to take out the extensions." I was like, "Shit, took 8 hours. I'm not taking this out." So we had a couple of issues, but ultimately, I think when I read that particular role, I was like, "Okay, this is a good role. This is an opportunity for me to really kind of go off and have some fun." For me, originally, I was just thinking, "Okay, we got to make this as realistic and credible as possible. It's Boston, it's gangster shit. You don't see too many of those movies." And I was thinking kind of broad, big picture, not necessarily my own individual goals or even the opportunity for me as an actor. And then when I read the part again, I was like, okay, there's something here.
Those sequel plans have been teased as late as 2011 from the screenwriter. The hype has fizzled away since, and it seems a sequel to The Departed at this point is dead in the water. So what do you think about this idea for a Departed sequel? Would you have liked to have seen it? Do you think it could have worked? Let me know in the comment section below, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.